The purpose of this action plan is to create and implement a district screening process that includes a system for locating and identifying all the students within the district who are thought to be gifted and in need of specially designed instruction. The reason I picked this section was because the district's comprehensive plan was lacking in this area. In particular, I felt that it was totally missing, and I would like to see that this be implemented at the elementary level and also look at how it will impact the middle school level. The way I feel that this could best be accomplished is by creating a task force. This task force would meet monthly. They would be assembled at the end of the current school year, and their meetings would start at the beginning of the next school year, which is August of 2018. Once they get assembled, they would assign themselves tasks throughout the course of this. So the first thing would be to gather information on what other school districts are doing and to look at what our own school district has in form of testing so that they can use this information to create our plan. In October at the meeting, the task force would discuss the information they have gathered. They would look at what we have, what other school districts are doing, and decide, is this sufficient or do we need to purchase more testing instruments? They would also be meeting in November to discuss the options, any other information they gathered based on what was lacking from the last meeting that people have gone out and gathered, and then they would pick an option for our district screening process. That option would then be given to a subcommittee of our task force, and their job would be to assemble a presentation, perhaps a PowerPoint, for our superintendent, where they would be able to present the information to her and get her feedback. Once that is done, they would then prepare the presentation in its final form to present to our school board. The final step of this action plan would be to publish our plan as part of the comprehensive plan, to provide in-servicing for all invested parties. That would be administrators, guidance counselors, teachers. They would have to purchase any of the required elements that we're missing. They would also have to put it on our school district's testing calendar. For the in-servicing, there would be the need to teach people how to use any new testing instruments, and also they would need to show how we're going to use the gathered information from the testing as part of our screening process. We would know if we were successful because we would see that each month the task as outlined in the action plan was being completed by our task force. So in the intermediate steps, that's how we would assess our success. But in the final stage, we would know if we're successful because more kids would be appropriately placed for their educational needs. They might be moving on for further gifted testing. They might be monitored to see if there are any needs for any other educational opportunities. The research that supports this is our Chapter 16 guidelines, which say we need to have this screening available. We need to publish in our comprehensive plan what we are doing as a district. And we also looked at some other school districts and at their web pages and saw what other school districts are doing for their screening process. For my second action plan, I want to look at increasing awareness activities that are conducted annually to inform the public of the gifted education services in the district. Again, this section in the district's comprehensive plan is not completed correctly. And after looking at the district's webpage, there is almost nothing about it in that page except for a link to the gifted guidelines under the gifted tab. So there's a lot of work to be done in this area. Again, I would use the gifted task force that I assembled, and I would have them complete this as part of their task. they would be looking at the information of how we already inform parents and the public of our gifted services. And as I noted, I already know that there's very little on our school web pages or on our district web page. So I think the first thing they need to do is go out and look at how other school districts are putting the information onto their web pages. At the next meeting, the task force would discuss the materials they've gathered, what information, perhaps present some of the web pages that they thought looked really good and had a lot of information on them. We have to decide how we are going to communicate our ideas. So we have to look at the cost, how are we going to have meetings like some school districts do? Are we going to send out news articles? Are we going to publish handouts, brochures, and decide who is actually going to be doing that? The task force should make some things that are consistent so that they can be used in all of the buildings and can be put on all of the web pages so everyone is publishing the same information. Once they've created these materials, they would need to present them to our superintendent for her feedback, and if she approves of them, we could present them to the school board for adoption. The final step would be to publish the information on the web pages, organize and print any of the other communication instruments we've decided upon. They need to plan in-service activities and explain the information to the staff. This explanation to the staff of the communication devices we've chosen would be part of their professional development. So how would we measure our success? Well, if we complete our tasks each month as outlined in the action plan, we are completing our plan successfully. And finally, we would evaluate the entire process by looking at every district web page, the main homepage, each school's web page, to be sure the information is there. We would make sure that all the students had the information when they entered school and then it was sent to the parents. We would have the communication sent out on a yearly basis, and any information that needed to be published, perhaps in the news, would be done. This is part of the PA code from Chapter 16. The awareness activities must be done on a yearly basis. Also, by looking at other school district web pages such as Downingtown's or Harrisburg's and many others, I was able to look at what we're lacking and look for ways that we could make our plan better for reaching the public and spreading our information.